just as it's interesting as things continue to unfold on the federal level, as Cenk mentioned with Jack Smith's investigation, because it just took a turn in terms of the classified documents. Not only have the prosecutors secured another cooperating witness, but they also expanded their reach into a foreign adversary. But first, let's go to the new witness. All right, so the existence of an insider witness whose identity has not been disclosed could be a significant step in the investigation, which is overseen by Jack Smith, the special counsel appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland. And that's per the New York Times. Continued with, the witness is said to have provided investigators with a picture of the storage room where the material had been held. Little else is known about what prosecutors might have learned from the witness or when the witness first began to provide information to the prosecutors. The thing is, we know that the prosecutors had already secured the cooperation of Trump's valet, but his candor has been put into question. This man was apparently, he's been accused of moving boxes of those classified documents at Trump's direction. And so prosecutors are trying to get a fuller and more accurate picture. And as a result of that, DOJ is roping in more witnesses, which the New York Times had also detailed for us. They said in the past few weeks, at least 4 more Mar-a-Lago employees have been subpoenaed, along with another person who had visibility into Mr. Trump's thinking. When he first returned material to the National Archives, according to people briefed on the matter, Tu said that nearly everyone who works at Mar-a-Lago had been subpoenaed, and that some who serve in fairly obscure jobs have been asked back by investigators. Now, new information about DOJ's subpoena practice also seems to suggest something quite interesting, which is that the feds are taking a broader look that goes into Trump's business practices, particularly with individuals abroad. One of the previously unreported subpoenas to the Trump organization sought records pertaining to Mr. Trump's dealings with a Saudi-backed professional golf venture known as Lev Golf, which is holding tournaments at some of Mr. Trump's golf resorts. And if you can recall, this was kind of a big deal in terms of that entanglement with the Saudis since Trump has left office.
Okay, to me that was a giant ding, 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 ding in the middle of the story. Oh, by the way, the classified documents, and we've got a witness, and he's turned, etc. Saudis. I was like, wait, what are the Saudis doing in the middle of the classified documents story? That is super interesting. Now, if you remember, the very first thing that I said about this document story when we found out about it was, why the hell would anybody take top secret nuclear documents home? There's only two possible answers. One is, oh, I didn't know the nuclear secrets were in that box, and I just grabbing random boxes. I mean, Trump is so not bright that that's not impossible, right? He was just trying to hoard things, etc., and he was gonna have it as a momentum, brag about it at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know, right? The other possibility, and the one that is much, much more likely, is to take advantage of those documents somehow. How would you take advantage of those documents? By selling them. It's not overly complicated. And so now people in mainstream media never ever talk about that because they think it's too speculative. And they probably are still under the delusion of, no, Trump has some boundaries. He wouldn't do that. I talked about it on day one because I know for a fact that Donald Trump has no boundaries. So my best guess is, yeah, he took home super classified documents to sell them and make money. Oh, scandalous. The guy who's obsessed with money, that's all he ever cares about. That's all he ever wanted to use the presidency for. A guy who's nearly broke, takes home the most valuable top secret information we have, and he's got buddies in all of these places like Saudi Arabia. And I think I might have literally mentioned them as one of the possibilities. And remember, the Saudis gave his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, $2 billion right after the election to invest for them in his private equity company that he formed a day ago, right? That has no track record at all. And there's no reason to believe that it would be any success. Jared Kushner is a miserable failure in real estate and business. So guys, the New York Times is not going to put that in the middle of the story, and the prosecutors are not going to mention that unless it is relevant to those classified documents. So that's a potentially giant development.
So from a sports perspective, I've covered this story a lot, and basically Live Golf is funded by the Public Investment Fund, which is the arm of Saudi Arabia. They control well over 94% of it. Basically, there's a ruling in court right now. There's something going on in court right now where essentially Live Golf wanted to trademark Live, but it was blocked by Live Miami. So there's like a court case going on right now. The PGA is hoping that there are explosive pieces of evidence to fund their case and show how terrible of an operation this is and how they've hampered on their own business. Now, let me be very clear about this. From a Live Golf perspective, we sort of knew what was going on here because after the January 6th insurrection, there was a lot to this. Essentially, that the PGA wanted to and successfully pulled golf tournaments. You're seeing some of the crowds, which were shoddy at best. This piece of video is when he defended Saudi Arabia, saying, we don't really know what happened at 9/11. If he were a poker player, he would be one of the worst because he shows his hand every time who he's for and who he's against. Now, when it comes to Live Golf and Trump, the whole reason that he wanted to go all in on this is because the PGA pulled the PGA championship away from Trump Bedminster. He lost a ton of money. Live Golf comes in, they go, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You helped us out, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna put all of your properties, a lot of your properties on notice for Live Golf. We don't know what those funds are. We don't know what they're paying him every single time that they go and set up shop at one of his properties. But what we do know is when he was president, he wrote off so much to the taxpayers to the tune of well over, I think $145 million by amping up the prices of food, beverage, cart fees, course fees, what have you, anything that you could think of. So this is him losing money to the PGA and then gaining it with Saudi Arabia. It's a really, really interesting twist that I wish more people would definitely focus on.
So I'm gonna say two more things about that. So first, if this is just an issue of, hey, Donald Trump is backing this Saudi Live Golf venture and he's letting them use their course and he's making money off that. Okay, but I got that as I don't really care. I mean, of all the different crimes that Trump has done, that's not even a crime. You want to back the butchers of Riyadh? That's up to you, okay? And people can judge you for it, although no one on your side will. But if somehow it involves those top secret documents, and that's what the story's about. And they're using the Live Golf as a way of funneling Trump money for something else, i.e. the documents, then that case is explosive. Because it is even remotely possible that right-wing voters would go, selling nuclear secrets to the Saudis is a bridge too far for even some of us, right?
You really think that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think that it might be, I don't think it's all of them. Could it affect 20% of MAGA? Like we're really selling nukes to the Muslim fundamentalists that love Sharia law and believe the same things ISIS believes?
Well, first off, they don't even know what Sharia law is, considering the arguments that Marjorie Taylor Greene has made. Anything that they define as something they don't like is Sharia law or woke. So like it doesn't really matter in that sense. They can't even define half of the terms that they use. When it comes to this is the essence of sports washing, guys. Like this is exactly what we've been talking about. It is the cozying up and painting a positive public image to a region like Saudi Arabia in the Middle East to say they're just like us. Look, they're letting women drive, even though they locked up an activist named Lujain and tortured her and crushed her soul when she was the brain behind that entire movement. So I completely disagree with you. I actually think they'd be like, oh, Saudi Arabia doesn't actually seem that bad because of what they have accomplished with a lot of Trump voters with Live Golf. I am not saying everybody, by the way. I need to be very clear about that. I am not saying every conservative, every member of the MAGA movement. What I am saying is they have had this vehicle in motion for years in order to paint the picture that, hey, they're doing business with our guy. They're kind of like us. And I believe that it has worked by signing Dustin Johnson, by signing Phil Mickelson, even though he's totally washed up, by signing a lot of other American players and basically cozying up to them. And as I said, painting this picture that they're decent people when we know the truth.
I'll go further, and this is a bold claim, I get it, but
Oh boy.
If he's charged with trying to sell classified information, especially about nukes, to Saudi Arabia, he's not going to win. He's not going to win the general election for sure, and he'll probably lose the primary. Now, again, that's speculation. We don't know that yet. We just have the story that the Saudis are somehow connected. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.